It's a very caring community.
The thing about the community was that everybody knew everybody, and everybody helped everybody.
Really looked after one another.
And later on in adult life, I guess, we learned that the Catholic Church was the one instituted by Christ, and that was the one that we wanted to belong to.
It took pretty strong Catholics for this little community to develop and survive all through the years, and it's as alive today as it was the day it was founded.
There are real strong people here.
There's still a lot of rural background, I think, in the parish.
Particularly in bad weather, you came to church in a horse and carriage, but you never missed church on Sunday. I don't care whether there's snow drifts 6 to 8 feet tall. They'd run horses through those drifts where they'd beat it down enough for wagons to go through. But you didn't miss church on Sunday. No, there was no excuse.
And I think that's where the strength comes from, is what the parishes parishioners have had to go through. Hard times, depression, the drought, dust bowl, all those things. Those people had to survive, and it was basically subsistence living back then. And a lot of them, the original people, the countries they came from, the Irish, came from Ireland, and they were starving to death, and the British were trying to run them out. And on the German side, it was promoted that there was a lot of opportunity in the United States. On my mother's side, I am the great-grandson of one of the two parish founders, William Swartz. The other founder was Anthony Vos, a friend of William's from Germany. They came to the United States in the mid-1850s looking for a better life. This was prior to Kansas becoming a state and prior to the Civil War. After Kansas became a state, William Swartz settled across from the church and acquired land, and all of this land on both sides of Metcalfe was his. He actually donated the land we're sitting on to the church.
As far as I know, all the disasters were before my time. I remember hearing about them and reading about them, especially the fires.
And I know they tried to rebuild the church a couple times after it got hit by a tornado and, a fire. So I guess, they were kind of like Abraham. They didn't give up.
I did get to view my great-grandma Catherine's Bible, and in it, it did tell that after the fire, I think it took 3 years to rebuild, if I'm not mistaken. And at that dedication day was when the cyclone came and took it down again. And that was written in her Bible. And so I just can't imagine what that was like for the families of this community.
There was a lot of hard-working people in this community.
There was talk about discontinuing it, but the old German-Irish decided, no, we're going to continue at church here as long as we possibly can, and they have.
There used to be a man or two that rang the bells, you know, for Mass, the big bells, and you probably never heard those rung. I haven't heard them for years.
We could hear the bell ring from our house whenever the wind was just right, and it was always a time of quiet and peace to hear the bell.
I remember after I was a young married person, we got a call that the church had been hit by lightning, the steeple. And I lived a couple miles from here, so I could see it burning. They rang the bells that day of the fire. We took everything off the altar and took all the crosses and everything out because we were worried, you know, that the church would burn. By the time we got it all out, the statues, the fire was out.
We had a very good life, but a hard life. I worked hard on the farm, milking cows before I went to school, and milking cows when I got home from school.
The first school, as I understand it, was a public school, probably about 1870, and it was a half a mile south of the church up on the hill. And then the parishioners here built their own school. I think it was around 1903. And that school was a wooden frame school. Then the brick school was built in 1921, the old school. What was strange about our school was that when we opened the brick school here, it was actually a public school that was taught by the Ursuline Sisters.
It was a public school number 41 in Miami County, taught by nuns, which was a very unusual situation.
I guess we had the most fun when we were playing basketball because we had the girls' basketball team in high school. We didn't have enough kids for football or any other sports, so that was our main sport. And the girls won first place every year for the 4 years that we were in high school.
The old gym in the school, the ceiling was low. It had a big beam across the top, and you had to shoot pretty low to make a basket. And one time Stanley came down, and we had the windows covered with wood panels, just kind of slats. And we had one goal on the stage they really were a better team than us, but we beat them, and it made them mad, and they shook them posts and they shook the guards and everything.
I remember when we were kids and we played basketball in high school, we were not allowed to be bad sportsmen. This was something the nuns did not allow. If you felt like you'd been not treated well at a basketball game, you kept it to yourself. It was not allowed.
The nuns were, as far as I'm concerned, they were very excellent teachers. Of course, some of them was tough too. You didn't get away with much.
I got sent to the principal's office once. I think I was in 4th grade, and my punishment was to draw a picture of a woodpecker.
One of my brothers was worse than I was, though. But I used to enjoy seeing him get it.
I remember one time, some of us guys, the old school had 2 flights of stairs up, and then there was another little 2 or 3 stairs went up to a kind of a little landing for whatever reason. I don't know what it was there for. And some of us guys were up there messing around one day, and there was a big window in front, and somebody got shoved and almost went out the window. The window fell down on the sidewalk, and it just so happened that the county superintendent of schools was making her visit that day, and she was just coming up towards there when that window fell. So that was kind of you know, a little bit, which we got in trouble real big time for that.
The nuns were very good to us, you know, and we had a great education, but they taught you to respect authority.
We did have a skip day. Our class went to, I can't remember who our chaperone was, but I guess we had one. We went to visit an orphanage up at Lawrence, and then we went to some park and had a picnic and went boating and that kind of stuff.
One thing that impacted the parish, the school was kind of a unifying entity in the parish. When the school was open, everybody went to school activities, a lot of communication. As soon as the school closed, the church changed. And when we opened this school, it all changed back again.
No telling what it'll be in 150 years. It may be just exactly like it is now.
There'll be so many changes. Just look how many changes there's been for the last 50, 75 years.
Well, I would say it probably would be part of a pretty large city by then, because it's grown and grown to where the cities come out to meet us.
Well, you know, there's buildings overseas that are 500 and 600 years old, and probably put together with some of the same craftsmanship, you know, that was put into this one. And it would be wonderful if it can be kept, you know, in the state it is.
The parish grounds mean a lot to people in the upkeep.
It's always been here. It's been like a landmark.
If you really want to have a good Catholic life and stuff, you know, you got to work at it. You just can't stay on the outside edges.
We need to remember, you know, our founding people that came here and started this parish, the sacrifices they made to make this today what it is.
You know, leadership is important. It's real important. I mean, just like people tend to come together.
Families should be as strong as the families that started this parish, and look forward to the day when they can be as strong a Catholics as the families that started this parish.
The founders of this parish, they endured hard times and struggles, but I think it was in those struggles that they turned their hearts to God's help. They found in this place we call Wea, this church dedicated to Mary, Queen of the Holy Rosary, a place of calm, a place of welcome, and a place of beauty. When their faith and their efforts were tested by fire, storm, and other evils, they persevered. They did not give up. They turned all the more to the Lord to supply strength, strength that they were not able to muster on their own. A lot of things have changed over the many decades, over the 150 years. Today, SUVs and pickup trucks have replaced the horse-drawn carriages of old. We don't have quite as many farmers as they used to have, more suburban dwellers or those trying to escape the suburbs. Those are the people that fill our pews now. Houses are bigger, but the families are smaller in most cases. The church today must compete with many other voices in our culture, voices and activities that demand people's attention. People are pulled in many directions today. But this place, this parish community, is more important today than ever. People still need, even more so in our present day, a place of calm, a place of welcome, and a place of beauty. A place where they can slow down and encounter the love of God. Some have wondered what this place will be like in another 50 or 100 years, or God willing, 150 years. Well, who knows for sure? No doubt much will change. Buildings will change. Houses may well fill the surrounding fields. Yes, hopefully our church will still be standing. But I'm confident that the faith will endure. Nothing this world can offer will ever fill our deepest longings. I think our parish founders knew that truth in their day, and if we are honest, we must admit that same truth today. While life affords so many more comforts and opportunities, and we can be in instant communication through all our electronic devices, the longings of the heart can only really be filled in a place like this, when we encounter calm, welcome, beauty, and the presence of God in prayer, in the scriptures, in the sacraments, and in the faith-filled community. We have a beautiful old church. We all love it. But this parish is more than our church. The scriptures tell us that the church is built of living stones, rising up to form a spiritual household, a priestly people offering their spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God. The first families in Wea built a small wooden church so they could gather as God's people and offer their lives to Him in prayer. In time, they built a larger church and eventually a school so that future generations could do the same. Now here we are, 150 years after that first church was built. And we gather to thank God for our lives, for our families, for the land, and for the gift of our Catholic faith. We encounter here, in this place, in Wea, this parish dedicated to Mary, the amazing grace of her Son, Jesus Christ. How can we be anything but grateful? Grateful for what God has done through those early parish founders, grateful for those generations of families who have worshiped here, grateful for the countless baptisms and weddings and confessions and masses and even funerals celebrated here. And through the families that still fill the pews and the classrooms today, we're also grateful. God has indeed blessed this place, this spiritual home for so many. So thank you, God, for 150 blessed and grace-filled years.
Well, I live in Florida now, and whenever I'm coming to Kansas, which is in the summer and then again at Christmas, I always tell my friends I'm going home, and they know what that means, that I'm going home.